Oh, howdy guys, don't mind me. I'm just rewriting history here, because I refuse to live in a world where horse race gambling for the Famicom network system never came out in North America. It's not working and I'm depressed. Nowadays, online functionality is a big part of gaming. Every new game console has some kind of online service. The big dogs you think of when it comes to online gaming are Xbox Live and PSN. And then there's Nintendo. They've been around for a while, so naturally they've dipped their toes in the online business ever since the Famicom. The big changing point was with the Wii, which had its own online ecosystem. Ever since then, every Nintendo console has had some sort of built-in online feature, but given how obscure internet was back in the 80s and 90s, these online services have fallen into obscurity. So let's begin with the Famicom. Nintendo, who was previously a toy company, struck gold with the Famicom, which was quickly becoming the best-selling video game console in all of Japan. So of course they would try and do something different with their console. The Famicom network system was a modem for the Famicom. Now in concept, that sounds cool. You could play Famicom games online, but you couldn't. You see, the network system had its own library of games. The only notable apps for it were horse race gambling, which is exactly what it sounds like, and Super Mario Club, not to be confused with Mario Club, Nintendo's debugging team, or the Japanese variety show also named Super Mario Club. This wasn't a public game, it was only distributed to Japanese toy stores, and the modem allowed it to sync the data between all the stores. It was set up in a similar way the Famicom Disk System Disk Writer was, where users would rate and review Famicom games. Overall, the network system had potential, but it failed hard. I mean, the writing was on the wall. Its best-selling game is horse race gambling. Around 4 years after the blunder that was the Famicom network system, Nintendo realized, what if we make something good? In 1995, Nintendo released the Satellaview. This was an add-on for the Super Famicom that was actually a pretty big deal over in Japan. Instead of connecting to an online server, Nintendo would broadcast data via a radio satellite from St. Giga, a Japanese broadcasting company. Looking at the diagram, my god. It came with a BSX cartridge with its own Earthbound-like hub. In this hub, you could listen to the radio, download digital games to a memory card, and read electronic magazines. And I think I can safely say that these magazines are some of the weirdest forms of media Nintendo's ever produced. Highlights include Luigi is a terrorist, Bowser pulls a gun on Luigi, and... Now when we get to the games, that's where the Satellaview really starts to shine. Since these games were broadcast via a radio satellite, these games also had the advantage of having live music and full voice acting, which was amazing at the time, and the games library was so good. An Excitebike remake with Mario characters, Super Mario Collection, a remixed version of Super Mario All-Stars with cutscenes, full music, and voice acting, a remake of the original Legend of Zelda with SNES graphics, and a remake of The Link to the Past subtitled Ancient Stone Tablets. These games are criminally underrated, unfortunately, and have never been officially re-released by Nintendo. But there is still hope. Recently, Nintendo has been making nods to the old add-on via a costume in Super Mario Odyssey, which is based off of the Spaceman Mario outfit that he wore in some Satellaview ads. So maybe one day, hopefully soon, Nintendo may re-release these games. Now I'd like to take a break from these more popular services and talk about some of the lesser known ones. Just because the Satellaview only came out in Japan doesn't mean us Americans can have a slice of that cybernetic pie. The X-Band was a modem for the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis released in 1994. After paying a monthly fee, you could connect to the internet and play certain games with other players across the nation. Oh my god, that's way better than the Satellaview. Instead of having its own downloadable games, it just played local multiplayer over a phone line. Unfortunately, no one below the age of 15 cared enough and it was discontinued. Another notable peripheral was the Game Boy Color mobile phone adapter. Yeah, you can play Pokemon online. Wow, cool shit. Now, a lot of these peripherals were pretty unknown for a while. So that's the Nintendo 64 disk drive, which has been done to death over and over again, so let's bring it back from its eternal hell we call resting. So this thing was supposed to be the new 3DS of the Nintendo 64 line. Think like how the new 3DS added more features to the original. And in the end, it was delayed multiple years, only had 6 games, was a commercial flop, and was never heard from again. Oh, sorry, I was reading the draft for my new horror novel. What the hell kind of name is that? This was the online service for the Nintendo 64 DD, which was actually the only way to get one. You see, you got a Nintendo 64 DD in the mail by purchasing a RANnet subscription, along with a metric shit ton of junk, a VCR capture card, a mouse, and oh my god, a modem! The Nintendo 64 modem let you connect to the internet with all 4 games that supported it. I mean, you could share Mario Artist pictures, and oh, it had a web browser. The GameCube broadband adapter happened.
Please just care.
It fits snugly in the bottom expansion port. Wait, that has a purpose? I thought that was just a shitty jigsaw puzzle. You could play Mario Kart in LAN mode, and you could play Phantasy Star Online with this behemoth of the controller.
Yeah, in the early 2000s, they kind of stopped caring about online play. And then in the mid-2000s, they started caring again with a vengeance.
Nintendo pushed online hard with the Wii. It was the first Nintendo console with built-in Wi-Fi. It was also bundled with the news, forecast, and Wii Shop channels. With these channels, you could check the forecast, news, and all 12 games from like 10 years ago available for download on the Wii Shop channel. In all seriousness, the fact that you could play these old games again digitally, especially since these games hadn't been released in almost 20 years up to that point, was amazing. If that wasn't your style and you'd just rather play games that you got your Wii for, then why not play them online? On the box art of certain Wii and DS games, they showed the icon showing that they could be played online via the Nintendo Wi-Fi connection service. For a lot of people, including me, this was their introduction into online gaming. I mean, you could play Mario Kart Wii, and that's it. Yeah, other than Mario Kart, Nintendo WC didn't have a lot to offer. It was in a lot of games, but it either didn't run well, like with Super Smash Bros. Brawl, or they were just online leaderboards. By far, the biggest online feature that was pushed by Nintendo was Wii Connect 24, meaning your Wii was always online, 24/7. You could set your Wii to a standby mode where even if it's off, it can still receive notifications if you so choose. On top of some free Wii channels, you could send email to other Wii friends or send them in-game items. Hell, you could just watch Netflix and Hulu as well. The Wii was a jack of all trades. On the DS, it just kind of existed. You could play Mario Kart DS online and download some DSiWare games from the DSi shop, and that was about it. But there was one app that I think used online in the best way possible. Flipnote Studio. It was an animation tool where you could use the touchscreen to make little flipbook animations, but I'd like to talk about Flipnote Hetena. This was an online service for Flipnote Studio brought to you by Hetena, which was a Japanese internet company. Judging the quality of said Flipnotes,
Is this hold music?
on the other hand, this was a pretty big deal on the DS. You could view other people's flip notes and rate them with stars. Now that sounds nice, but apparently Nintendo didn't think so and they discontinued it in 2013. Also in 2013 was the announcement that by June 2013, Wii Connect 24 would shut down. Later in 2014, Nintendo WFC would also shut down, and most recently last year, the Wii Shop channel was shut down, bringing an end to Wii Connect 24. This is a mega bummer, but it kinda made sense. The Wii was an aging platform by 2014, and even more so by 2019, so it was just a good idea overall. But now it just feels weird seeing the Wii, which was made with internet functionality in mind, not having any of said online functionality available anymore. Now, Nintendo WFC was a cherished online service remembered by many. Now try to get 1/10 of those people to even cough anything related to Nintendo Network. In 2012, Nintendo introduced Nintendo Network, the online service for the 3DS and Wii U, one of their best-selling consoles of all time. Oh, sorry, I didn't mention that I was recording this on opposite day. Nintendo Network was kinda like the new WFC. It's kind of the same thing, but instead of focusing on one thing, like with WFC, Nintendo Network encompasses a bunch of different online services. Miiverse, Nintendo's own social media network, Wii U Chat, it was Skype on your Wii U, cool shit, and of course, you could play games online. And by that, I mean Mario Kart and Smash Bros, and that's it. The servers are actually still up. Yeah, after the Switch launched, all 2 people who cared about the Wii U left it to die. In addition to Nintendo Network, the 3DS and Wii U also had Spot Pass, where Nintendo sent out information about upcoming games, and yeah, I'd consider both of these services dead. You know, one of the greatest swear words out there is, I like playing Mario Tennis Ultra Smash Online. Right next to Nintendo Switch Online is awesome. This was Nintendo's most recent venture into online, and man, is it disappointing. It launched in September 2018, and people weren't having any of it. You had to pay for it, you were forced to use a mobile app for voice chat, and cloud saves were locked behind this service. Okay, the fact that it's $20 per year isn't that big of a deal, but being that it's so cheap, Nintendo thinks,
well, they're getting exactly what they paid for, shitty online play and Clue Land.
NSO worked like a subscription service. You purchase a membership and you can get access to a collection of NES and SNES games for free. Now that sounds nice. Oh wow, Mario, Zelda, and eliminating Boat Tool, well sign me up. It's just stupid that they try to pad out the game library with either more obscure games or special games. These are nothing more than suspend points from later in the game. Oh my god, I love Metroid Special Edition, especially that part where you're dropped into the middle of the game and you don't know what to do. Another annoying thing is how many games they add every month. When it first launched, games came out on a monthly basis, until the SNES games came out, and then they didn't add any more games for almost half a year.
Sorry, we just forgot to care.
Well, if Virtual Console's drug-addicted cousin isn't your taste, here's Tetris 99. Tetris with 99 players, where could you go wrong? Now, the most major and disappointing thing about NSO is its online mode.
Well, that's not good.
You see, a lot of the games that you could play online just did not run well. Nintendo seems to use a peer-to-peer connection rather than connect to a bigger server, which in some cases is not good. With peer-to-peer connections, it's cheaper, but that means if the person you play with has bad internet, it lags hard. This issue is most prevalent with Super Mario Maker 2.
My favorite Mario game.
Overall, Nintendo Switch Online is not looking too hot. Now that doesn't mean they can't fix it. Changing the server structure, add a little more extras like Nintendo 64 or maybe Game Boy games, or maybe adding more to the already existing platforms. It's not easy by any means, but they're Nintendo. They can do it. They released Mario Galaxy 2. They're the Evel Knievel of the video game industry. Overall, Nintendo has had a lot of ups and downs, mostly downs, but considering how they've been changing up their attitude recently, I hope they also change their attitude on online content as well. And for all of you Nintendo WFC fanboys out there, oh god, please get a life. But if you're willing to dabble in the homebrew scene, you'll see that most of these services have been brought back thanks to dedicated fans.
I feel bad for those poor saps who have to play Mario Kart Wii Online all the time. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to call my therapist because I have a little thing called PTSD. Those online services do a number to you.
Thank you for calling Therapy Incorporated. Please wait while we put you on hold.
I knew it!